So types of questions. One, we have multiple choice questions. What are multiple choice questions?
That is a type of questions. That is a type of question that is said. Including answers where the one answer has alternatives, has alternative answers that has to choose.
Okay.
Is it different from objective question?
And so multiple choice you use in different way. One right answer and multiple incorrect answers. So one of the answers is the most correct.
Your first statement that you made, having one correct answer with the
others incorrect.
There are various answers, but with the best.
And I have to choose the most correct.
Even that one is also multiple choice. Then there is true stroke false questions.
True or false?
So the learner is given to decide whether one of the responses or the statement is true or it is false. Then they are also matching premises. Yes, the others call it matching response questions, others matching premises. You can even say matching questions. Anyway. So matching questions, you can describe them. Those ones you. So matching questions, they are comparative in nature, where one response is matched to another directly corresponding to it in a relationship. For example, if it is matching common colors, then there should be items on the left with the colors similar to those on the right. They could even be top, bottom. Matching this, that, and this. We also match it. That's also matching. And matching is not only on boards and paper. It could be comparing that. It is in real life comparing that and that. Are they the same? If they are not, you say that is not the same as the other. Otherwise, you buy a window which is larger than the size of the what? Of the space it is meant to. Then filling in the blank questions.
Filling the blank spaces.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
True or false.
Mm. Short essay questions.
That is another one. That is another type of question.
Yes. So short essay questions require the learner to express creativity through providing responses according to the learner's experience or knowledge of a certain subject matter. So these days when, for example, you've not written about short answer questions, short answer questions. Mhm.
How was the holiday?
Mm.
It's already ended.
Yes. How was the holiday?
When they report back, it is not specifying or requiring a particular answer. Whichever answer a child gives,
It will be according to that child.
Mhm.
Explain how his or her holiday was.
Did you go in the village for Christmas or you stayed at home?
that is close to the end.
Must say either remain or went.
Yes.
Except one of the two answers.
So cross-ended questions always give alternatives. And those alternatives are always designed by the design of the question. By one or designing the question. So open-ended, closed-ended questions they have limitations. They limit the response. They limit responses.
Okay, give 4 types.
Mm. That is.
What are the types of nutrition? That is good. What are the types of this?
To give facts. Here it
That
says,
is good.
closed-ended questions provide a question prompt and ask respondents to choose from a list of possible responses.
Mm-hmm.
Types of tests. The list is there. So choose from the list.
Open-ended questions are those that provide respondents with a question prompt and provide them with a space in which to construct their own responses.
Mm-hmm.
The answers are not limited. Every answer may be correct depending on the child's experience.
Yeah. So in the background of if we were looking at research, even here, you know that cross-ended questions can be quantified. you can easily quantify responses. Say, who has given this, that, and then the other. You can easily quantify and know how many have said. But with open-ended questions, they are more qualitative because the one has got to narrate whatever he feels possible.
And even people tend to say yes, no.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
no.
go to the village.
Yes or no. Yeah. True or false? Are you promoted? I'm sure so. Yes.
Then another category you could call those questions the structured and unstructured. They are structured, semi-structured, and unstructured.
Unstructured and unstructured.
Unstructured. So what do we call structured questions?
Structured.
Yes.
They require a limited response, and usually a particular space is left, like the one on the right. There's a structure. You want a particular response, a specific one, and usually have particular answers. While the unstructured, they require variety and a detailed response. Always do that the same.
Unstructured, open-ended. And the structured, closed-ended. Semi-structured, you have a blend of the two mixed together. Have you found some Google informers? Okay. So unstructured learners are left to talk everything they feel during the process of questions. Remember that these types of questions, interview is also a classification of questions. Here you say these are questions called interview because you are interacting with the person you are asking. So even these types work for interviews as interview types. You can have open-ended interview questions or closed-ended interview questions. Yet at the same time, you can have structured, unstructured, and semi-structured interviews. Even questionnaires, they adopt the same trend. Semi-structured interviewer gives a hint in semi-structured. Semi-structured, the one questioning or the interviewer gives a hint on what he or she wants to hear from the person. Yes, it is a bit controlled.
And you say, when I say, I teach in time. Dash. And then you try to answer the same now. And I call that one because that is what the interviewer wants to hear.
The hint is like a clue, saves that. You're giving a clue, a hint.
But they not given you. What you given
is
you must know the answer, so you're not given me. I don't know how to complete it,
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at like the kind of questions being set in the new curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
They give another effort to help him understand.
Mm.
Probably they ask what do people go do in a church? Then they put a photo of maybe a priest. That's a cool.
Saying when someone tells you, talk about yourself. Tell me about that is unstructured. That is unstructured.
It's okay.
Mm.
Say whatever you want about yourself. Different from how old are you? What is your name?
Then structured. What example did you give on structured?
The clothes.
Clothes.
So all questions are structured. You're giving a framework within which a person has got to respond. That is a structure.
Structured interviews offer the same questions and the same blueprints for the responses for the interview. Same questions that are asked, they ask him, they can ask the same question. That is structure.
That's what they are explaining.
What is it?
Google
That's
using
now a structure is like a framework within which you expect the responses to be. If you've created a skeleton. You've seen interviews where you're given suggestions. I happen to have left the interview questions somewhere, but you're given to, do you strongly agree? This, do you agree with it? Yes, I agree. If you have a reason of not agreeing, you don't put it there. That's the response they want is rather yes. You might be disagreeing and the other one is also disagreeing, but the reasons are never the same. So there is a framework within which responses have got to be fit. Where is that situation in our schools? Where alternatives? Because the structure is also giving alternatives, where the person has got to choose his opinion. That is also a structure. That's where we've said all structured questions are closed-ended, but they have got to provide alternatives from which a person has got to choose the best alternative. You say, what is your age? Then you put 15 to 25, 26 to 40. Those you have crossed out. Yes, you've given a structure. So the person who wants to put 35 only doesn't have anywhere. And so then we have what we call data collection instruments. Or data collection methods. Yes. It borrows like for research. Those instruments are also there in research. One of the data collection instrument is questionnaire. Remember that these are data collection instruments. When they collect, the data collected can be now assessed. So, quantitative. Data collection instruments. So the questionnaires must be written. That's what you should know. That questionnaires are called the questionnaires because must be written, and the responses should also be written. Written responses. So the questionnaires can also take a path of being open or closed. They can also be structured or unstructured. Then we also have interview. Now, in the interview, that's the data collection instrument. The interviewer should be having a guide called an interview guide, which has the questions he's going to use during the interview process. Then, because this is an interview, the interviewer speaks out, that's the questioning, pronounces out the question to the interviewee. I've said that in the interview, the interviewer is the one who maintains the questions, the questions which are written, the written questions, and then follows the interview guide in pronouncing questions them to the respondent, the one who is being interviewed. Others called that person an interviewee. So the interviewee does not feel responds as you take note in the interview spaces. That's the difference between questionnaires and interviews. The questions might be the same with those of the questionnaire, but here you are not giving the space for the interviewer to fill the responses by him or herself. So it is, interviews are good for easing time, where the respondent has to keep reading and then finding what to respond. You actually read for the respondent, and if the respondent has not understood, there's also space of telling the respondent the meaning of the question if it is not clear, which is harder to attain during questionnaires. There is also observation as a data collection instrument. So during observation, the observer has got to have what we call an observation checklist, which has the characteristic traits or those elements one has got to focus on while observing. Dressing code is an observation area. Is it good fair or what? You are observing dressing code. What else?
Facial expression.
Those elements. And then if it is production of items.
Yayaliriza bakasitoma bana babasana. Besiye egoba bakasitoma.
Those elements. So those elements have got to be listed in the observation checklist so that you tick off what you have, your observations. What else do we have? There is also a survey. Surveys.
Survey is another data collection
instrument. So in the survey, a survey looks like a questionnaire. It is similar to questionnaires. It's only that they are used on online data collection, where they send a survey investigating about a certain premise or a construct or people's feelings about something. Then they keep on responding and submitting their responses. The questionnaires are usually delivered printed out. Surveys, you can send them electronically. So provided when you say you are using a survey, then you say you printed the survey, then they will say you are using a wrong vocabulary. You tell us that you used a survey method where you sent your surveys to various respondents and they had to respond online. That it could be a Google form, it could be there are those things you fill in online and data is collected about your responses. Then there is also testing. You conduct a test to collect information. A test is also a data collection instrument. Now, what is a test? It's a trial. You try it out, you try it and see what the responses are, and then compare the responses to a certain standard and draw a conclusion. There's also an experiment. As a data collection instrument. Those experiments are carried out in laboratories to ascertain behavior. Then we also have what we call focus group discussions. In a focus group discussion, you set a debate, a motion. Where opinions, suggestions are expressed So during the process, there must be a secretary, one taking note of the responses. Then those responses can be presented for assessment. But even these data collection instruments can be used in assessment because you're collecting data. That's why if there is a question of that asks for data collection tools, one can even mention these ones, or assessment tools. One can even mention these ones, the instruments, because assessment is about collecting data. So, and these ones also collect data which can be measured and then evaluated. So we also call them, they can also fall under tools. There's also case study. What is a case study?
You may be having so many, you may be having related, what can I say? But you just choose. Is this similar to sampling? Yeah, I think it is similar to sampling. You just take a sample, but it is a representation of some other.
So in a case study, you find an affected area or a population which is affected by a certain problem. Then you study that population over time and then draw conclusion that because that population has suffered maybe this way, so even elsewhere is also being affected like that. Yes.
You take a smaller part of the larger proportion.
It's only that you call that a case study, representative of, but
Can you remove maybe the definition?
But why they are different? Case study is different from sampling. Now, I can have a case study of this is Entebbe municipality. That's where you see the problem occurring and you want to collect data in this. So where your case study is, that's where you draw your samples. Now you will say you're going to draw samples from maybe 4 schools. Yet Entebbe municipality has very many other schools. So the sample has been drawn from a case study within the population which is affected. But the sample is smaller. You're going to use that sample as a representation of the entire case study.
For example, you mentioned schools.
Our researcher behind. Our researcher behind. You tend to inform us. I like your information. Yes.
That, for example, the case study can be in Hatari Town Council, but then you choose schools 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the samples.
Yes.
In that sample count.
Yes.
And then the problem can be what?
So you can.
Study is defined as an intensive study about a person, a group of people, or a unit, which is aimed to generalize or evaluate. You pick one unit and study it, that you use that one to generalize.
The whole unit.
Oba abantu b'ebigambo babijjawo. Oba okimanyi naye kinnyonnyola.
We just use postgraduate.
Naye bano baprofesa.
Same as
So
Postgraduate diploma, master.